Hey there. Let me see who I have here. I'm not able to see yet. Hey, Angie. Hey, sis. I miss you. Thanks for tuning in all the way from Charlotte, North Carolina. Do me a favor as you log on. Let me know where you are logging on from. And if you don't mind, also hit that share button. That would be nice. How's everybody's Monday? Hey, Suge. Y'all can tell that I am in a Caribbean mood because I need to be on somebody's island sipping a Mai Tai. All right, so I am not going to prolong very long. I want to go ahead and get started because I have a lot to share tonight, and normally our time together is like 30 minutes, but tonight it's probably going to go a little bit beyond that just because of the content that I want to share. So without further ado, I want to first of all just say thank you so much for joining me Moments with Mo. You could have been anywhere right now, but you chose to spend some time with me, so I truly thank you for that. Let me just digress for a minute. I had some technical issues with my phone. If you all saw, my Android just crashed on me. So I have absolutely no idea how I'm going to get that back up and running. So I had to kind of do some impromptu broadcasting tonight. So just give me a minute before I jump right in. All right, so I wanted to tonight just have a moment of transparency. I know that the last few times that I have come on, I'm usually talking about some tips. I'm usually giving you strategies, and I'm usually in teacher mode. But tonight, I am actually coming to you from a place of being the student. And just sharing with you some parts of my journey and some of the things that have been revealed to me, especially during this quarantine time. And I want to say this really quickly. I saw one of my Facebook friends make a post, and they said, you know, you got so many people who are coming out with businesses after quarantine is over. They're coming out with all these master plans and all of that good stuff, and that's great. But there are some of us who are really just trying to hone in on what it is that God is trying to show us in this moment. And we're really grounding ourselves and trying to tap into self. So I am that student. I am in that place right now. So I wanted to share with you, first of all, let me just kind of go back and talk a little bit about my background so that as I spring forward, you know a little bit of my history. Not too much, but a little bit. So I am from a broken home. I was raised with my father and my grandmother. My mom was not a part of my life because she had her own demons that she was battling with. And so my father felt that it was necessary for him to take my brother and I and move in with he and my grandmother. And, you know, hindsight, looking back, it was absolutely the best thing that he could have possibly done. I feel like he was just being a father. But as a child, going through being the product of a divorced family, being a product of living in a neighborhood that is probably not the greatest. I mean, we survived. We were what you would consider working class America, but there were a lot of issues that just kind of happened within my home, within other people's homes that we didn't really talk about in that day, right? And so I remember as a child growing up and looking at the friends that I had in my life and wondering why they had moms You know, if they came from broken homes, the least that they had was a mother. Okay. And my situation didn't look like that. My situation was, I was raised by my father, who was a Vietnam vet, who is a Vietnam vet. And I was raised by an overworked grandmother who was really just doing the best that she possibly could. And what happened was, I didn't realize that feelings of abandonment were starting at that young age because my mother was gone. My mother had abandoned us. I remember there were times that she would say that she was going to come pick us up. And anybody who's ever dealt with issues of abandonment, they know, and they can probably resonate. You can probably resonate with what I'm saying. She would tell me that she's coming, and she wouldn't come. And I would sit and sit and sit and sit and sit and wait for my mom. And so I didn't know it at the time, but it was really building up resentment in my heart. It was building up abandonment issues and rejection issues in my heart. And so as a result of that, as I got older, I was always angry. I was always mad, you know. And then on top of that, I also dealt with being bullied. So, you know, I couldn't understand why girls always wanted to fight me. They always thought that I was a target. They always thought that I was an easy target. And so they would come for me, and I didn't have any sort of self-defense mechanism whatsoever at this point. I'm innocent, I'm young, I'm, you know, in middle school, and I just want to be accepted, right? So all of these things that happened in my childhood really became the catalyst for rebellion, for anger, for becoming this hard person and always feeling like I needed to protect myself. I had a lot of ugly inside for years and years and years. Yada, yada, yada. Fast forward. The last 3 years, I have really been on this journey for understanding who I am, not just understanding who I am, but accepting who I am, loving who I am. And that's been a hard journey just in itself, because anytime you're starting to search for yourself, you start to see things that is kind of like, that's not me. I'm not selfish. I'm not prideful. I'm not insecure, right? You don't realize that these things are starting to build up. You don't realize that these walls are starting to be formed and built until you start to recognize you and you want to really start to make change. So in the past 3 years, I've gone on this journey of really understanding my feelings. I've gone through even the not so good parts of my marriage. I've had to take accountability, and I've had to own those parts that help to contribute to that part of my life, right? And so, yes, y'all, I said I was going to be transparent. Don't judge me tonight, okay? It's just us, all right? So one of the things that I've been focusing on during this quarantine is really asking God to show me parts of me. And I do this all the time. I don't necessarily just do it with our quarantine. I do it pretty regularly. And I ask for revelation. I'm asking to know what is the next level of me that I need to develop. And many times people run from that, because in order to develop ourselves, we have to do work, and we have to actually acknowledge that there's work to be done, like I said a few minutes ago. And so even through the process of my healing, I'm still dealing with fear sometimes. Sometimes I'm still dealing with the disappointment of myself. You know, I tell myself that I'm going to do a certain thing, and if I don't reach a particular mark, I'm disappointed within myself. I combat that even now, today. But during quarantine, being specific about what I'm asking God for, one of the things that He has shown me is that He has been my supplier, right? I know that sounds so cliche, but I'm speaking for myself. I'm telling you what God has had me to focus on and switch my focus from, the hurt, from the things that I have been going through for the last year and a half, to what is he doing now for me in this season. And this is one of the things that he has shown me. He's been merciful to me. We've not had a lack for anything. And I'm not trying to be insensitive, because I know that there are a lot of people that are out there that are dealing with, lack, loved ones who have been affected by this horrible coronavirus. So I'm not being insensitive to that. But what I am saying is that what he has shown me in this moment is that he is still providing for me. My children are safe. My children are well. I am well. I am safe. We have everything that we need in this moment. Okay. So another thing that he's shown me during this time is to just learn how to be open to discovering all parts of who I am. Y'all, I am really and truly on a quest to know the absolute core of me. You know why? Because for so long I was told that I wasn't good enough. For so long I was told that I didn't have what it takes. For so long, I was compared to my peers, to my colleagues, to my enemies. And for so long, I never thought that I measured up. And so as a woman, as I grew up, as I continued to go through life, as I continued to have experiences, all that would repeat in the back of my head is, you're not good enough. You don't have what it takes. You aren't smart enough. You aren't educated enough. You're not connected enough, right? And so these are the thoughts that I have had to combat in my mind forever. I've always had to combat that in my mind. But I am in a place now where accepting all of who I am, the good, the bad, the ugly, the uncomfortable, accepting all of that is a challenge, right? Because we always want to accept the good in ourselves. Oh, you can cook. That's a good thing. You can manage a home. That's a great thing. You are a great mother. That's a good thing. But what about that addiction that you have? What about that desire, that fleshly desire that's lurking in the background that nobody knows about? Have you confronted that? Have you talked to that? Have you acknowledged that that even exists inside of you? And that was what God was trying to show me, that, hey, there are some parts of you still that are dark, that are ugly, that are bent. And I need you to acknowledge this stuff. I need you to get quiet. I need you to get still, and I need you to acknowledge that these things exist. Because one thing about it, guys, is that when we are absolutely clear about who we are, when we are absolutely crystal clear about all of our shortcomings, all of our strengths, all of our failures, we have a better chance of creating a map, a roadmap to get us where we want to be. Right? And so that was one of the things that I've had to understand and be okay with, is being open to accept all of the parts that God is showing me during this season. Do they feel good? No, they don't. Even sometimes I embarrass myself about myself. But the more I can accept myself, the more I can love myself. Let me ask you a question. If you have children and your child has ever made any mistake whatsoever, right? And it's been brought to their attention that this is a part of them that you as a parent, you don't care for, you don't like. Even if that child does not change the behavior right then, do you think it ever leaves that child? Probably not. And depending on the relationship that you have with that child, either they're going to rebel or they're going to want to make change. For me, I want to make change because the quest that I have to be the absolute very best that I possibly can, it doesn't come from me running. It comes from me acknowledging and confronting. Okay? So I've had to do that in this time. I'm also learning to be patient with those areas that are not so attractive. You see, we all have areas of our lives that are they're just ugly. I don't care if they come out. I don't care if nobody in this world knows that you have it or have them. We all have them because we're all human. Whether it's a thought that you had, whether it was a desire that you had, a word that you spoke, we all have these areas that need some sort of accountability or some sort of acknowledgement. And we have to be patient. I have had to learn how to be patient with these areas because I'm a perfectionist. I want everything to be perfect. I want everything that I do to just shine and sparkle and glimmer. And the reality of it is that that's not always going to be the case. And those areas that don't shine, those areas that are dull, those areas that are dark, I'm not saying that I have to accept them as my own and that I have to always keep them there, but I have to acknowledge that they're there in order for me to know where I'm growing to. And so he has shown me that I need to be patient with myself. I saw a post today and the young lady said, I'm learning how to give myself grace. Do we give ourselves grace? I mean, do you really look in the mirror at yourself and say, you know what? I give you grace. I give you grace to make mistakes. I give you grace to fall down. I give you grace to even get back up. Do we give ourselves the same grace that God gives us? That is where I am learning to operate from. It's not an excuse, but grace is the opportunity for you to get up from a place where you are. Okay. So I'm having to learn to be patient with myself. And I'm also having to learn how to be real. I know we all come off as we are this real, authentic person because we got Instagram, we got IG, we got Snapchat, we got LinkedIn, we've got Twitter, and all of the other mechanisms that I don't even know about that can provide this persona of who we are. But I have had to be real with me and face and accept me. Okay? And I encourage you to do the same thing. So some of the ways that I have learned how to face the real me is, one, I have actually started and will continue to confront myself. You remember when you were younger and somebody said something about you or somebody did something that you didn't like and you were so quick to confront them. You might even had a crowd around you when you go in to confront that person. I had to do that with me. I had to bring all of my knowledge. I had to bring all of that I know about the word and who I'm supposed to be. And I had to look that person in the mirror and say, yeah, this is where you're supposed to be, or this is not necessarily where you're supposed to be, because I believe we're supposed to be where we are. But this is who you portray to be. And while that's not a lie, there are also parts of you over here that you don't give any room for people to know that, or not even necessarily people to know, but for you to know that this is who you are. So I need to put this in front of you and I need you to see you. And that's pretty much what I have had to do. My conversations with myself. I literally have conversations with myself the way that I'm talking to you right now. And if you don't do this, I know that song that says, I talk to myself because there is nobody to talk to. People ask me why I do what I do. That is such a relevant verse from a song because we should be talking to ourselves. When I confront myself, I'm literally looking in the mirror and I'm having a conversation with the person that's looking back at me. And the reason I do that is because nobody is going to be as real, as authentic, as cutthroat to me than me. So the quicker I can confront that person, the quicker I can call those things to the carpet as if it were, the faster I'm able to say, you know what? Yeah, that is me. Yes, I do have this habit. Yes, I do like this particular thing. It's not right. It's not necessarily the best thing that I should do, but this is a part of who I am. And so in order for me to grow from here, I got to be able to say, yeah, I have that in me. And so that's what I did. I started confronting myself. I started looking in the mirror, seeing hidden places. If you've never done mirror work, let me tell y'all, that's a whole nother class that I'm going to teach at some point later down the line. But mirror work is real. Mirror work is effective. And it causes you to confront yourself and to address the things that you can see in yourself that maybe other people cannot see. Another thing that I did was I actually made a list. I made a list of good, bad, and ugly in my eyes. All of the things that were good. And I mean, I didn't hold anything back. I don't care what it was. If it just meant that I could prepare a meal for my family, I put it on there. Because you see, we are so easy to be so hard on ourselves. And it's sometimes very difficult for us to pat ourselves on the back that good column was important to me. I needed to be able to see all of the things that I do well, all of the things that I can remember that are positives, because I'm going to get to the negatives. I'm going to get to the things that I need to work on. But I also wanted to acknowledge the fact that, yeah, I have good qualities over here. I'm not a bad person. I just have some areas I need to work on. My bad column were things that were, when I said bad, I just meant if I could remove that thing from my life, I would remove it immediately. It was maybe sometimes I don't say the right things. And let's just be honest, y'all. I got some bad. I have bad habits. I have some bad thoughts sometimes. I have some bad behaviors sometimes. But I wanted to bring those things to the surface so that I could know what am I actually up against. And then I had the ugly. The ugly things were things that I probably would never talk about to anyone except my father. They are things that, to me, I felt like were embarrassments. They were things that I literally would go to my grave with, right? And the reason I wanted to bring those up is because as we start digging and we start unpeeling the layers of who we are and we get to those ugly parts, we got to be comfortable knowing that those ugly parts don't always have to stay. And so in order for us to be able to acknowledge, in order for me to be able to acknowledge that I needed to do some work on those parts, I needed to see them. And I'll tell you another reason why in just a minute. The other thing that I have been doing is making a list of the areas that I want to do better. So from either the ugly or from the bad column, what I did and what I have continued to do and what I will continue to do is I just pull one thing that I know I need to work on and will also catapult me into the next season of my life. And so for a while it was integrity. Now this is just, don't judge me, okay? Just don't judge me, because this is my story. One of the areas that I used to need to really hone in on was integrity. Y'all got to remember, I grew up in a place where integrity probably wasn't the forefront of what I would see every single day. I had some people in my life that had integrity, but I had more people in my life that did not have integrity. And so I had to learn how to build integrity in my life. So that was what I used to focus on. Here recently, God has shown me that one of the areas that I need to focus on is self-discipline. Self-discipline and integrity actually go hand in hand, because integrity is what you do when nobody else is watching, right? When nobody else is looking. But when you have self-discipline about something, it doesn't matter if anybody's watching. It doesn't matter if anybody's around. You are going to continue to do that thing no matter what. You've got the discipline to do it. Example is, let's say I say I'm going to work out and I'm a part of a challenge, a group, right? The integrity part is I commit, I say I'm going to be a part of it, and we have to post every week, and I'm on there saying, oh yeah, I worked out 3 times a week. But did I really work out 3 times a week? So the self-discipline part is at 6 o'clock in the morning when I realize, oh, I do not want to get out of this bed. But I said that I've been working out 3 times a week. You see how those two go hand in hand? Good. So for me, self-discipline is the area that God has me focused on right now. Now, can I be real? Can I be real? Tell me I can be real, y'all. Come on. Somebody tell me I can be real. I'm going to be real right now. Discipline is not my strong suit. I am so free that discipline is something that I will probably forever have to keep in front of me. Self-discipline. Being able to do something when I don't feel like it, because I committed to it, and that's what I said I was going to do, regardless of what the situation is. I struggle with that, y'all. And God had to show me that that's an area that I need development in. Because discipline is not something that comes, again, natural to me. Integrity didn't come natural to me. It was like a muscle. I had to keep building and keep building and keep building. Same thing with discipline. So because of that, there are 3 things that I have been doing to really boost and keep in front of me my level of self-discipline. The first thing is I am so intentional about making sure that I'm reading material, making sure that I'm keeping something in my mind, keeping something in my ear, keeping something before me that reminds me of self-discipline, whether it's the word. We all know that the Bible talks so much about self-discipline and what the reward of self-discipline is, right? Whether it's an audio book or a book that I'm actually reading to remind me or to even teach me how to go deeper in self-discipline. I'm constantly trying to absorb information that's going to help me to examine myself, see where I fall on this barometer, whether it's according to the word or according to, literature, and then make change. Because again, the whole goal is that we're growing. We are evolving. I want to grow and evolve all the time. The second thing that I do is I determine an area where my self-discipline is lacking. Okay. So I gave you an example a few minutes ago of working out. Like, this whole Corona thing has just completely messed up my workout regimen. I'm not as motivated as I typically am. But let's have an example that's a little bit more juicy, like controlling what I eat. Controlling what I eat and when I eat. That takes self-discipline. Because if I tell myself I can't eat after 7 p.m., I don't care how hungry I am, I should not eat after 7 p.m., right? If I tell myself that I cannot watch television or I can't engage in a particular activity between this time and this time, it doesn't matter what's going on in my life. It doesn't matter how easy it would be for me to veer off from what I'm doing to actually do that activity. The self-discipline part for me is to focus on that one thing every single day. It's a muscle. I have to build it. I can't just say I'm going to do it one time and then not do it anymore. I can't just say that I'm going to do it this week and then I don't do it anymore, because it's not a muscle that's being built repetitiously. The other thing that I have done is I've made a commitment to intentionally do one activity that keeps me committed to that one thing of self-discipline. So for me right now, one of the things that, like I said before, that I'm struggling with is eating. And I was doing intermittent fasting, and then I would just eat at all crazy times of the night. And so I have had to make a decision. Okay, if I'm going to eat at a certain time of night, then that means that in the daytime, I cannot eat during these times. And even though it's hard, even though I don't want to do it, even though it goes completely against every natural part of me, I'm doing it for a reason. It's not about the food. It's not about gaining the weight. It's really about being able to take that small win and move to another level. Because guys, we're all going to another level. Whether this coronavirus is done tomorrow or next year, we're all moving to another level. And the only way we are able to move to another level and be successful is we have to be trusted with the little things that we have right now, so that as we move to the next level, more things are being added. We can hold on to that. More things are added to my self-discipline and my integrity. Now it's, being trustworthy. Now it might be making sure that I'm a good steward over my finances or whatever it may be. But if I don't have the foundation of what God has shown me I need to work on, how can I ever build on top of that? So you got to be okay with knowing that one by one, you're making progress. One by one, you're building a muscle that's going to take you to the next level. And that's what I'm seeing. A bonus that I will add that I have done that maybe I'll encourage you to do is have an accountability partner. I have several ladies on here right now that I have said, hey, I need you to hold me accountable. Because the reality is that I'm not always going to hold myself accountable. Yes, in a perfect world, I should. Yes, in a perfect world, I should have enough strength to do that. But I don't always. But I have an accountability partner. I have several accountability partners, actually. And the reason I have them is because in days where I am weak, in days where I don't feel like it, in days where I just need a little boost, I have an accountability partner that is there to not just necessarily cheer me on, but to say, hey, you need to get your butt up. You need to keep moving. You need to, do what you said you were going to do, because that's what you said you were going to do. I didn't put that on you. So have an accountability partner that you trust, that loves you, that celebrates you, and that wants to see you win. I didn't say have a frenemy. I said have an accountability partner who wants to see you win. I promise you, it will continue to help you catapult to the next level. Okay, so that was your bonus. The other thing that I would say is setting boundaries has been so important to me. Setting boundaries, whether it's how much time I spend talking to someone, whether it's how much time I spend on social media or watching television, whatever those boundaries need to be in order to keep me in check, I have had to incorporate those. Now, I will tell you that this has also been a little challenge because we're in the house like most of the day. And so setting boundaries right now it's one of those things where I have to be intentional about it and realistic about it. because things aren't always going to flow the same way every single day. But as long as my boundaries can flow with where I am, and as long as I can look back on that day and say, you know what, I said I wasn't going to do this today, or I said that only in this window of time I was going to do this, and I only did it in that window of time, I feel good about myself. That's a small win. That's a victory to me. And I've learned how to celebrate the victories, okay? So set boundaries for yourself. And setting boundaries for yourself is actually the most productive thing that you can do when you are thinking about self-love, when you are growing in a place of, when you are growing in a place in self-development. Setting boundaries will help you to stay in line with where it is that you say you want to go, okay? So the only other thing that I have for you guys tonight is I wanted to say, always be intentional about developing you. My story is my story. I have had to deal with some deep, dark issues and secrets and, cobwebs over the last 3 years that God has allowed me to work through. Your situation may be different. Your story is going to be different. But I always say, find an area in your life that you can always develop. Guys, we are evolving. I hate when I hear people say, oh, I don't need to change. Oh, I don't need to, increase or upgrade or whatever the case may be. And I'm like, why do you not? Why are you okay with being complacent in this place? I'm not saying don't be okay with where you are. What's the word I'm looking for? I'm not saying don't be content, but I am saying don't be complacent. Always be looking for areas where you can grow. Growth is the only thing that lets you know you're alive. When you stop growing, when you stop developing, you are dead. I don't care if you're walking this earth. I don't care if we see you physically. If you have closed your mind off to growing, to developing, and becoming better and evolving, you are dead. Because if y'all haven't noticed, this world is moving at a rapid pace and it's waiting for no one. So I've gone off on a tangent. Basically what I'm saying is always look for an area where you can grow. Trust yourself. And the reason I say trust yourself is because if you're tapped into the Holy Spirit, if you're tapped into Creator, then you're always going to hear that. Maybe not always. Let me take that back. For the most part, you can tap into knowing what direction you need to go. But you got to be in alignment. And to be in alignment, you got to be still. You got to be quiet. We talked about that last week. I'm not going to go back there. But what I will say is in the process of us growing, in the process of us becoming better, and I see you. I see the businesses. I see the elevation that is happening right now before our very eyes. The only thing that I would add to that is as you are growing, as that business is growing, as your audience is growing, as your money is growing, that you are also growing internally. You're also growing as a person spiritually. You're becoming a mature person. You're becoming a beautiful person. I want to be a beautiful person. Don't you want to be a beautiful person? And that has less to do with this, and it has so much more to do with this, right? Yes, yes, yes. We all have a story. Yes, Danielle, we all have a story. Let me see what you all are saying, because I see you guys. Crystal said, be real. I try to be real, Crystal. I really, really do. Now, I don't share everything, but I do try to be as real as I possibly can. Hey, Auntie, self-love, self-healing is loving you and understanding where your unexplainable healing is when you feel uncomfortable with your reactions. Take your time to get to know you. Yes, take your time to get to know you. Nobody should know you better than you. Nobody will ever know me better than me. Thank you, Auntie. I love that. I love that. Well, I want to say thank you so much for sharing some time with me tonight. I know that I have gone over what I typically do, but I really felt like it was important for me tonight to just share this. Of course, you all know that there's probably so much more to the story that I could share, but the relevant parts that I really want to impress upon your heart is to just be okay with discovering you. Be okay with the parts that are uncomfortable. Be okay with the challenges that come with you, because we want everybody else around us to change. We want our jobs to change. We want our marriages to change. We want the people around us to change. But how often do we challenge ourselves to really make the change? And remembering that as we change, we attract certain things in our environment. So if you are looking for, or you want to attract, this amazing love and this amazing love story, and really enjoy that part of your life, then guess what? You got to give that. You have to exude that. You have to be that. And if you don't have the capacity to love in that area, then that's an area for you to develop. That's an area for you to focus on so that you can get better, so that you are sending that energy out. You're getting that energy back, right? Thank you all so very much for joining Moments with Mo tonight. I have enjoyed spending time with you. Inbox me. Send me an email, electelevation@gmail.com. Share this with your friends. Send me a comment. Let me know what you think about this, because for me, it was pivotal. For me, it was definitely something that kind of, it was a little uncomfortable, and I didn't even want to share it with y'all, to be honest. I just wanted to come and teach something. But God was like, no, you're going to put you on blast tonight. You're going to share some areas where you need to develop, and hopefully that will encourage other people to also do the same. All right, guys. Thank you so very much, and enjoy the rest of your Monday night, and I will see you back here very, very soon. Bye.